As I zipped the body bag shut, I glanced toward the morgue's long, wall-length mirror. My reflection wasn't moving with me, and behind it stood the very corpse I had just sealed inside. Nights in the morgue have their own kind of silence. Not empty, not peaceful, but heavy, like a weight pressing down on your ears. The buzzing fluorescent lights seemed louder than they should have been, echoing against the tile floor and sterile metal counters. I had worked here long enough to be numb to the stillness of the dead, to the faint chemical sting of disinfectant mixed with something metallic that always lingered no matter how much bleach we used. But that night felt different. The air was colder, the silence sharper. I told myself it was the hour. 3 in the morning always made me restless. The John Doe I was processing had no story, at least not when I was given. Mid-40s, male, found alone. No one claimed him, no ID in his pockets, just another number in the system. I slid him into the bag, pulled the zipper. Shut it rasped against the nylon like a long sigh, and that's when I noticed it. In the mirror, my reflection wasn't zipping at all. It just stood there, head slightly tilted, eyes locked onto mine. And worse, behind it, the corpse I had just sealed away was standing upright, its head bowed forward, as if it hadn't quite learned how to hold itself up. I jerked around so hard my shoulder cracked. But the gurney was still in place, the bag sealed tight, the room quiet. When I turned back, my reflection had caught up again. It moved with me like nothing had been wrong in the first place. Still, my stomach nodded. I told myself I was imagining things, lack of sleep pulling tricks. But I kept glancing at the mirror, half expecting the corpse to shift again. That's when I heard the first sound. A soft tap, like a fingernail against glass. I froze, listening. The hum of the lights filled the room, buzzing against the silence. Another tap, louder, coming from the mirror. I forced myself forward, leaning closer. My breath fogged faintly on the glass, though the room was too cold for that to make sense. And then, in the lower corner of the mirror, letters appeared. Faint, shaky, like a finger tracing across condensation. HEL, my throat went dry. Before the fourth letter could form, the fog vanished. The glass was pristine again. I stepped back, but the room suddenly felt smaller. The shadows seemed to lean toward me. When I looked again, something else was wrong. The reflection wasn't identical anymore. The morgue and the glass had the same tables, the same drawers, the same gurney. But the drawers in the reflection weren't all closed. Some were hanging open. And in their darkness, I swore I saw pale arms beginning to stir. I turned away, forcing myself back to paperwork. If I ignored it, maybe it would stop. But the tapping didn't stop. Every few minutes soft, deliberate, like a knuckle knocking. At one point, I heard the unmistakable rasp of a zipper sliding open. My chest seized. I spun around, heart hammering, only to see every bag sealed, every drawer shut. But in the mirror, one bag was unzipped. The John Doe was standing again, closer to the glass this time. His face turned toward me, his eyes hollow and unblinking. I backed away, clutching my flashlight like a weapon, though I knew it was useless. The mirror me stood frozen, just staring back at me while the corpse shifted closer. And then the lights flickered. The brief darkness was enough. In that sliver of black, I felt bodies crowding the room, pressing close, their weight thick in the air. When the light steadied, I was alone again. But in the mirror, I wasn't. Behind me in the reflection, every bag was unzipped, every drawer open. Figures gray, stiff, broken were standing, all facing me. The John Doe stepped forward, raised one shaking hand, and pointed straight at me. That's when the zippers began to rattle for real. Every bag in the room trembled as if something inside was pulling at once, yanking at the seams. The sound filled the room, overlapping with a low chorus of groans I felt more in my bones than my ears. I bolted. The keys nearly slipped from my fingers as I scrambled for the door. Behind me, the tiles shook, the drawers clanged as if fists were pounding from the inside. But when I finally stumbled into the hallway and slammed the door, silence fell. Just silence. The next morning, I came back. Part of me hoped I'd find the mirror cracked, or the drawers flung open, anything that would prove I hadn't imagined it. But everything was normal, too normal. The bag sealed. The drawers shut, the glass spotless, except for one thing. Etched faintly into the mirror, almost invisible unless the light caught it just right, were scratches. Not random. Not chaotic. Words. See you soon. And the worst part? They weren't etched on the surface. They were carved from the inside of the glass. Drop a line in the comments and let me know if you liked this story for more content. Like and subscribe. See you at the next campfire.